Hello and welcome back. About 3 months ago, I shared with you my very first experience getting SCULPTRA. If you have not seen that video, I will link it down below. In today's video, I am sharing with you a much awaited update. I will share some before and after pictures with you, as well as ask my provider, Dr. Guzman, all the questions you had left for her below that video. Now, first off, I had told you in that last video that I had been a bit nervous about sharing my experience with getting SCULPTRA with you, because I strongly believe in learning to love and accept ourselves at any stage of our life. Now, unfortunately, this self-love and self-acceptance did not come easy to me, but after 2 decades of almost starving myself to death, it is something that is very important to me and something I do not want to compromise. However, it seems that if being on this journey of self-love and self-acceptance and wanting to do some sort of procedure such as SCULPTRA or even microneedling don't match, and some say they really don't. In fact, I did receive a bit of criticism under my last video. However, what I mostly received were the most kind and supportive comments. Reading those comments made me so proud of this beautiful community of strong, supportive, encouraging women and men we have created. So thank you so much for that. Also, I was really surprised how many of you shared your own experience with getting SCULPTRA. So thank you for that as well. So what is SCULPTRA? SCULPTRA is a biostimulator. It is poly-L-lactic acid, which is the same material we use in dissolvable sutures. It comes in a vial. It is a powder which comes in a vial, and I showed the whole process in the last video. It gets diluted with a liquid, and it needs to be diluted for quite a while to cut down on the risk of granuloma. Once diluted for several hours, it then gets spread under the skin with a cannula. Now, right after the treatment, you will have a bit of fullness where the SCULPTRA was used, and that fullness is due to the liquid the SCULPTRA was diluted with. The body is going to absorb this liquid in about a week, so after a week or so, it seems as if nothing happened. However, in the next 4 to 6 weeks, the SCULPTRA, the poly-L-lactic acid, is going to stimulate fibroblasts to produce more collagen and elastin. This is a very slow sort of wait and see process, and as you will see in my before and after pictures, the results are quite subtle. SCULPTRA is often used in somebody like myself who is quite sunken in their cheeks, and how many treatments one is going to need depends of course on what one wants to accomplish as well as one's anatomy. Personally, I have had 3 treatments, and in each treatment we used 1 vial of SCULPTRA. My treatments were between 4 and 6 weeks apart. So as I promised, we are going to look at some before and after pictures. But before we do so, let's talk to Dr. Guzman and ask her all the questions you had left for her under that last video. So Dr. Guzman, one question I got was, since SCULPTRA is a biostimulator, meaning it stimulates the body's own collagen production, we know as we age, our collagen production slows. Can therefore SCULPTRA still be effective if you're older, let's say over 60 or beyond?
Yes, so obviously your collagen stock diminishes with the aging process, but as SCULPTRA does this neocollagenesis, so neocollagen formation, so you can still do it over 60.
So it will still be effective, but you might maybe need more treatments? Or?
Maybe you need more treatment because that depends as well of the anatomy of each person. So if this person as yourself, so a very thin skin, so obviously we need a little bit more, but people who got fat under the skin, so maybe they will need less. So that depends obviously of the anatomy of each person.
But there's not an age limit. Even if our collagen slows down, this will still be able to help.
Exactly.
One question I got a lot is, can SCULPTRA be used under the eyes?
For the moment, said that is no, because we advanced in the indications of SCULPTRA, for example, for the neck and the décolleté, which are the areas that you got very thin skin. So that is the reason why we perform the treatment with a dilution which is going to be higher. So that means that we are going to have less risk of granuloma. But under the eyes, it's a very delicate area, and if you got a granuloma under the eye, so that is not going to be a nice. So I think you will be cautious about the under eye area. But doing SCULPTRA, so you can have an effect indirect on the hollowness, because you are going to have an enhancement on the cheek area. So the cheek area gets a little bit enhanced, so that is going to have this lifting effect on the under eye area. So that is going to be an indirect effect.
And we saw that in my after pictures, and we'll talk about that in a second. Yeah,
exactly.
But you did say we advanced to be able to use it in the neck and the décolleté.
Exactly.
Okay.
So because the dilution is going to be higher, with this new dilution, we are going to have more treatments in the areas that before we haven't had the opportunity to do it. So we can do it in the neck, and to do it in the décolleté as well.
But not under the eye yet.
Not under the eye yet. Okay. Well, at least in my hands, no.
Now, Dr. Guzman, I think lately we have seen a lot of people maybe overdoing a little bit on the filler, and they get what we call pillow face.
Yeah.
So I had the question, can SCULPTRA be overdone? Can that happen with SCULPTRA?
Yes, so I think it's difficult to have an overdone of SCULPTRA, because generally you do one vial per person. So the volume that you got in this session is the volume that you are going to have 4 to 6 weeks later. So generally when you are doing a treatment, you are trying to do the enhancements that you want, but it's rare as a practitioner that is going to do a pillow face, as you said, in the session. So I think it's very rare to have a treatment overdone with SCULPTRA.
Great. But if somebody would not like the results from SCULPTRA, could you reverse it? With filler, you can inject something and reverse it.
No, because the only product that we can use to correct an over treatment is with the hyaluronic acid. It's the only product in the market which we have an enzyme, hyaluronidase, in order to dissolve it. So with the SCULPTRA, really the risk that we got is the granuloma formation, which is a foreign body reaction. But as I said before, as the product we use very diluted, so the risk of granuloma is less. But still, so unfortunately we are in medicine, so some people we can have a foreign body reaction with the SCULPTRA, but right now we know that is less and less because of this dilution.
But so granuloma is what we could worry about if it's not diluted, but
Exactly.
that still couldn't be dissolved. You just have to
Exactly.
wait for it to
But
disappear.
if you got a granuloma, so sometimes we can do a treatment with corticoids, because it's a foreign body reaction. So in order to calm down this foreign body reaction, so that implies treatment after with corticoid that is going to be injected. But sometimes if the granuloma doesn't change, so we need to take it out. So that means a substitution that implies a surgical treatment.
One more question, Dr. Guzman. I had several subscribers recommend I should just do fair transfer instead of SCULPTRA. I know you being a surgeon, you prefer fair transfer.
I love fat. I love fat transfer. And because actually the fat molecule, so the adipocyte, we know that is going to work like an stem cell. So that is going to regenerate the skin. So the fat is going to be filtered until the very, very small molecules who calls the nanofats, and that is going to have this regeneration effect. But obviously that implies a surgical procedure that implies to take off your fat by liposuction. We don't need a lot of amount of fat. But there are people who doesn't have any fat, so that is the reason why the non-surgical procedures are around. There are people who are scared of having surgery, so obviously that is another option. But fat is a surgical procedure, SCULPTRA is a non-surgical procedure, and both have the benefits of stimulating the skin, and you need to put under the balance the risk and complication of every treatment and to choose accordingly.
Does a fair transfer last longer than SCULPTRA?
Yes, but the fat, as is biological tissue, so you need to understand that there is a percentage of fat that is not going to integrate and the tissues, and that is the reason that some people get disappointed because they said, okay, that doesn't work. And sometimes we overdo the fat transfer in order to see this percentage, which is around the 30% of fat that is going to be resorbed by your body, or really not going to get integrated to the tissues. But that is something that happens with fat. It's not the same thing, but these things happen with the SCULPTRA, because sometimes a baseline treatment is not enough. So we need to do 4, 5, 6 until you got the results. And that happens as well with the fat transfer. Sometimes one session is not enough, so you need to do a second one. So that is part of the things that you can control, because it's a biological response in your body.
So you obviously prefer it, but if somebody like myself is afraid of surgery or just doesn't want to go through it, then SCULPTRA is a great alternative.
Yes, it's a great alternative, SCULPTRA. And we're happy with the non-surgical treatments as well.
Great. Let's take a look at my before and after pictures.
So these are the pictures of Claudia, and that is with 3 sessions. So that is the regular protocol. And as you can see in the before pictures, the length in between the eyes and the cheek is a little bit longer, and here is slightly reduced, and that is because of the enhancement here in the cheek. So that is going to, this enhancement here, that is going to have this lifting effect, that is going to have a secondary effect on the hollowness in the nasolabial fold, in the mouth corner, and then in the oval. And definitely in this area we got a very nice enhancement.
And this is something I notice in this area particularly, that my skin feels thicker.
Exactly, and that is really neocollagenesis, and this is the effect of SCULPTRA, which is very particular.
So I wanted to look at the pictures with you one more time without the glare of the computer screen. Now, I am not normally somebody who likes to look at before and after pictures and scrutinize every single flaw, but of course we want to see, has there been a difference so far? So as Dr. Guzman mentioned, there is a tiny bit less hollowness under my eyes, which is due to a bit of SCULPTRA in my temples, as well as the upper cheeks, creating a bit of a lift. And you can see that bit of a lift in the lower part of the cheeks as well. There's also a tiny bit of added fullness in the lower part of my cheeks. And then again, when we look at me smiling, you can see that tiny bit of extra fullness in the lower part of my cheeks, as well as I just mentioned, my skin feels a bit thicker there, a bit more bouncy, as if it has gained some elasticity. So the smile lines, therefore, are less pronounced. And we can see the same thing on the left side of my face. So my normally very thin skin has gotten just a tiny bit thicker, a bit more bouncy, and there is a bit more fullness in the lower part of my cheeks. However, honestly, when I look at these pictures right here from the front, I can't really see a difference. If there is one, it is very, very subtle. And then lastly, right here, smiling, again, the difference is very subtle. But what I can see, actually more than an increase in volume in the lower part of my cheeks, I can see the increase in skin thickness in that area. So these are my results after 3 SCULPTRA sessions, again using 1 vial per session. And in between the sessions, I had between 4 and 6 weeks. I like the results. I think they're very subtle. What I noticed the most is an increased thickness and firmness right here. So I will have 1 more, maybe 2 more sessions. I will of course keep you posted, and once I'm done with all my sessions, I will make another video. I hope this was helpful so far. Any questions or comments for myself or Dr. Guzman, please leave them down below. And please, if you want to share more of your experience getting SCULPTRA, leave it down below. I loved reading about your experiences. Thank you again so much for your kind, supportive comments under that last video. It really means a lot to me, and I so appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. Until next time, bye.